Condensed Horror Stories. Your favorite film plots abridged by Wikipedia. Because who has 2 hours to kill? I'm your host, Van Gunner. Today, Friday the 13th, Part 1. Let me start at the beginning. In 1958, at Camp Crystal Lake, camp counselors Barry and Claudette steal away from other counselors for a late-night rendezvous in a supply shed. An unseen assailant attacks and murders them. On Friday, June 13th, 1979, camp counselor and cook Annie hitchhikes with truck driver Enos towards the reopened Camp Crystal Lake. Now, Enos warns her about the camp's troubled past, beginning when a young boy drowned in Crystal Lake in 1957. After Enos drops Annie off at a crossroads, she hitchhikes another ride from an unseen person driving a Jeep. After the driver passes the camp entrance, Annie becomes fearful and leaps from the vehicle, fleeing into the woods where the driver eventually slashes her throat. Counselors Ned, Jack, Bill, Marcy, Brenda, and Alice arrive at the camp. Alice, along with owner Steve Christie, refurbish the cabins and prepare for incoming campers. As the thunderstorm approaches, Steve leaves for supplies. Ned sees a cloaked figure walk into a cabin and follows.
Hello?
Later, while Jack and Marcy have sex, they're unaware of Ned's dead body above them in a bunk bed. When Marcy leaves the cabin for the public bathroom, the killer pierces Jack's throat with an arrow before following Marcy into the bathroom and killing her with an axe. After playing a board game with Alice and Bill, Brenda returns to her cabin. She's lured outside by a little boy's voice calling for help and ventures towards the camp archery range, where the floodlights suddenly turn on. Alice hears Brenda screaming. Worried by their friend's disappearance, Alice and Bill investigate. They find a bloodied axe in Brenda's bed, and the phone's disconnected. Steve returns, and at the camp's entrance, recognizes the unseen killer.
Oh, it's you.
Who stabs him. When the power goes out, Bill goes to check on the generator. Alice later finds his body pinned to the door with arrows. She flees to the main cabin and barricades herself inside before the killer hurls Brenda's body through a window. Miss Voorhees, a middle-aged woman who claims to be friends of the Christies, arrives at the camp. She reveals that it's her son Jason's birthday.
Jason was my son.
And that he was the young boy who drowned in 1957. And she blames his death on the counselors, who failed to supervise him, instead having sex. Revealing herself as the killer, she brutally attacks Alice. Now, Alice flees, discovering the bodies of Annie and Steve in the process. Following a chase through the camp and several physical altercations, Ms. Voorhees finally confronts Alice on the lakeshore, the two struggling until Alice decapitates Mrs. Voorhees with a machete. Exhausted, Alice seeks refuge inside a canoe, which she pushes out into the lake and just falls asleep. At dawn, police officers arrive moments before Jason's decomposing corpse emerges from the lake and drags Alice underwater. She then awakens in a hospital, surrounded by a police sergeant and medical staff. The sergeant says that there was no sign of a boy at the lake.
Ain't no boy at the lake.
Alice replies, then he's still there. Stay tuned for more condensed horror stories, because who has 2 hours to kill? Produced at Boutwell Studios by Lane McGibney, Brad Lyons, and me, your host, Van Gunner.